neat. Different times in the Bible you read about the elders sitting in the gate, or the prominent people sitting in the gates. That's where they would have meetings. All the people coming in and outside the gates and such. And during times of war, these chambers could be filled with soldiers. Soldiers would be lined up here. The gate is the most vulnerable part of the city. Oh, the enemy's going to come right through here, so you line up your soldiers in these chambers here. So I included this picture as a good example of a Solomonic gate you can read about in the Bible. All right, this is one of my favorite places, the Elah Valley, David versus Goliath. Let's read the account here. This is in Samuel. Now the Philistines gathered their armies together to battle. They were gathered at Sokoh, which belongs to Judah. They encamped between Sokoh and Azekah in Ephes Dammim. And Saul and the men of Israel gathered together, and they camped in the valley of Elah, and drew up in battle array against the Philistines. The Philistines stood on one mountain, on a mountain on one side, and Israel stood on a mountain on the other side, with a valley between them. And so there's the biblical text. We've got different locations. We've got Sokoh mentioned. We've got Azekah mentioned. We've got the valley of Elah. All these locations have been located in archaeology. So we've got the city of Azekah, which is there's not much there. There's kind of some ruins up on top of this mountain here. But then here's the Elah Valley right here, this vast valley going up into the hill country. You see the mountains in the background. That's the mountains right here around near Bethlehem. So we are, I'll show you on our maps here. This is the Elah Valley right in here. The Philistines live on the coast. They live in their coastal cities on the plains. They're coming up into the hill country to attack Israel, attack King Saul and his people. There's this ancient city of Sokoh, and this way goes to Azekah and also Gath. Goliath was from Gath. The Bible tells us that Goliath was from the city of Gath, which is actually only about 5 miles away. So the Philistines, they didn't have much far to come. They just got about a 5-mile hike. They're up this valley. They're camping on the mountain between Sokoh and Azekah. And here comes Saul and his men. Maybe camped on this mountain over here, a valley between them. And Goliath comes out, and it says for 40 days Goliath would come out into the valley and taunt Israel and tell them, send out a champion to fight us. If he kills me, you all win. If I kill him, we win. And so what are the Philistines doing here? They're trying to attack the heartland of Israel. They're trying to come up the Elah Valley. The Elah Valley comes right up to Bethlehem. From here, it's just a straight shot north past Jerusalem, not a city at this time. David his capital. But Saul's capital is right above here in Gibeah. They can come right up the valley into the heartland of Israel and attack King Saul. So this was a decisive battle. This was not just a little kind of skirmish here. This was a fight to the death between the Philistines and Israel and Saul. And so here comes David. Where's David? He's from Bethlehem. What's he doing? He's feeding his sheep outside of Bethlehem. He's feeding in the fields out there. And David's dad tells him, Jesse says, go take some food to your brothers. Your brothers are in the camp of Saul, and go take some food and some cheese to their commander and such. And go down there to the battle. David goes down there to the camp of Saul and looks at this guy Goliath and says, who is that guy compared to our God in Israel? You know the rest of the story. David went down to the brook. There's a brook in the valley. Got some smooth stones and faced Goliath and says, you come at me with sword and sticks and javelin. I come at you in the name of God of hosts. So the Lord of Sabaoth is the Hebrew name, the Lord of hosts. And so David kills Goliath in this valley. And then afterwards, I didn't include the scripture, but the scripture says that Saul and his army, they chased the Philistines all the way back down this valley. Chased them as far as Azekah. Chased them as far as Gath. Pushed them all the way back out through the coastal plains. Decisive victory that God gave to Israel. They're in the Elah Valley. So one of my favorite spots to see, as I remember, is think about God's faithfulness, how God helped Israel there and delivered them through just a shepherd boy. And so one of my favorite sites to go to in Israel. So continuing along, we've got Elah Valley. We've got another city called Lachish. Not well known in the Bible as well. It says, after this, Sennacherib, king of Assyria, sent his servants to Jerusalem, and he and all the forces with him laid siege against Lachish. So the Assyrians are coming down. Sennacherib is an Assyrian king. He attacks this city of Judah. And I'll put it on the map here. Lachish is down about right there. This is during the time of King Hezekiah. So we're moving ahead a few hundred years. So we're kind of jumping around here. I'm kind of taking this by geographical location and not so much chronology. And so they attack the city here. And this is an important site because I'll tell you in a moment here. This is a siege ramp. The Syrians piled up this debris and such to come up here. Now, there would have been walls around here. The city, they were going to attack it. And this is important history, important site because of what we find in the palace at Nineveh. Sennacherib came and he attacked Lachish. It's mentioned in the Bible. And he goes home to his palace and he draws this elaborate drawing on his wall. So this is a picture of the wall of Nineveh. Nineveh is the capital city of Assyria. The same Nineveh that Jonah went to and preached to. And so Sennacherib goes home and writes about his battle exploits against Judah. And this is a drawing of what we see here of the Assyrian army coming up their siege ramp to attack the city walls of Lachish. And it looks like the city did fall. And after that, they came to Jerusalem. The Assyrians attacked Jerusalem, but Hezekiah's in the city, Isaiah's in the city, and they're praying. What do? They turn to God. And Isaiah prophesies that you've been faithful to the Lord, I will deliver you. You don't have to fear the Assyrians. The Assyrians come up right up to the walls of Jerusalem. They attack Lachish, and they come up to the walls of Jerusalem. And you can read about the story in the Bible where it says that Rabshakeh of Assyria, he's outside the walls, and he's shouting and saying, none of the other gods of all the other nations have saved them from the Assyrians. We've conquered all these other places. You shall surely fall as well. But Hezekiah was assured by Isaiah that they would be saved. And what happened that night? The Bible tells us that God sent the destroying angel and killed 180,000 of the Assyrian army and decimated the Assyrian army right outside the walls of Jerusalem. So Sennacherib, he packs up his bags and he goes home. He brags about Lachish, but he never mentions Jerusalem on his wall there in Nineveh. He brags about taking some of these other cities, but no mention about his defeat at Jerusalem. And then the Bible tells us it wasn't very long after that where Sennacherib was in his temple praying to his God, and his sons killed him right in his temple of his gods. His God couldn't save him from being killed there. So this is a good example of history that's in the Bible and history that's mentioned elsewhere. Assyrian history, and there's Babylonian history, and there's Egyptian history. They talk about these same sites in the Bible as well. Moving along quickly, we've got Ashkelon, which was a Philistine city. Then the Spirit of the Lord came upon Samson mightily. He went down to Ashkelon and killed 30 men there. This is a coastal city of the Philistines. They're right along the Mediterranean Sea. And very beautiful sight. So we got to see the Mediterranean Sea there. I got some seashells from the Mediterranean Sea. And before we leave today, I think I got enough seashells here for all the kids can have a seashell here. I've got enough seashells. You can each have one. You go ahead and grab one if you want there. You can go ahead and pass it. Yeah, pick up all 6 of those seashells there. Yeah, all of you kids Nathan can have one if you want. So I got 6 of them there. So oh yes, we got another. Okay, I think I'll have just enough. Everyone can have a seashell from the Mediterranean Sea. So we'll get one. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. Let's see. I'll get 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Yes, there's another one there for you. You can have one. There we go. I brought just enough. Thank you. I got more at home if someone needs a seashell. So there goes all my seashells for today. But I've got more at home. So those seashells came right along this beach right here. And so Mediterranean Sea, the main sea on the coast of Israel. I'm going to kind of move along quickly here. I've got a lot more to show and see, but kind of wrap things up. So this is the desert in southern Israel, the Negev desert. And there's oasis in the desert. So we're quite literally driving along in this desert area, and all we see is desert, and all of a sudden there's a gas station and a McDonald's. And it pops up right there in the middle of the desert. And we got to see a number of cities there. We've got to do some hiking up some canyons in the desert. We've got to go to Beersheba, which is an Old Testament site built by Isaac, names it Beersheba in Genesis. And so I won't belabor this, but We can see some different sites in Beersheba. We went to a place called Masada, which was a fortress of King Herod. King Herod built a great palace on this mountain along the Dead Sea. This is about right here along the Dead Sea. We've got the fortress of Masada overlooking the Dead Sea. This was he had a palace there. And then the Jews captured this as a stronghold during the Jewish revolt. About 900 Jews held out here against the Roman army for a number of years. And in AD 73, the Roman army came up built a siege ramp up to Masada and attacked the mount the fortress where the Jews were holding out. It was the last holdout during the Jewish revolt there. On Masada, you've got these ginormous cisterns. That's me standing in a ginormous water cistern. And they tell us that that Masada is huge. It's a huge site. They would have had enough water up there for years. They could have lasted up there. A picture of the Dead Sea overlooking Masada. We went to the spring of Ein Gedi. David went up from there and dwelt in the stronghold at Ein Gedi. And now it happened when Saul had returned from following the Philistines that he was told him, saying, "Take note, David is in the wilderness of En Gedi." And this is along the Dead Sea again, just north of Masada. There's a spring there. So David, this is during his times when he's fleeing Saul. Saul had turned against David, and he flees to the wilderness. And he finds an oasis, the spring of Ein Gedi. And this would have been quite the sight to see for David and his men to hide out here along this spring. And I kid you not, like just right, all this area is nice and fertile here, but just outside of it is just a desert wilderness that you just can't survive out there. So you kind of picture Saul and his men. They're wandering around this wilderness trying to find David. And here's David chilling out at the spring of Ein Gedi, kind of a safe spot where he can hide away from Saul. Then we're at the Dead Sea. So the Dead Sea, the lowest sea on the earth, 1,300 feet below sea level, 30 to 33% salt. Just to compare that to the ocean. The ocean water is about 4 to 5% salt. And so the Dead Sea is about 6 to 7 times saltier than the ocean. The biblical names, it's referred to as the Salt Sea, the Eastern Sea, or the Sea of Arabah. So we're at the Dead Sea. At Qumran, I'll just mention quickly what was found here. Qumran was a site during the New Testament time, about the time of Jesus. There were Jewish people known as the Essenes. So these were kind of like Jewish monks. They would go out in the desert, and they would live in their little cloister communities and away from society and write and copy scrolls and things like that. And they were copying biblical old scrolls and such. And they were a very religious Jewish people, and they would hide their scrolls in these jars and caves. And then about 2,000 years later, 1947, a little Bedouin shepherd boy is wandering around in Israel. He goes up into one of these caves and he picks up a rock and throws a rock into the cave. And he hears a cracking of some jars in the cave. He goes inside and finds some scrolls, and these are called the Dead Sea Scrolls. And what were the Dead Sea Scrolls? Well, today they're housed in a museum. So this is a museum in Israel. You got to go see the Dead Sea Scrolls. And so there's some facts about them. These are some pictures in this museum in Israel where you can go see them today. So the Dead Sea Scrolls, the remains of over 800 scrolls are found in about 11 caves, a massive library of scrolls. One scroll was 26 feet long. And here's the significance. Every book of the Old Testament was found except the book of Esther. These scrolls date to around 200 BC to 100 AD, making them 1,000 years older than the next oldest Hebrew text that we have, known as the Masoretic text. So our Bibles, the Old Testament was written in Hebrew, and the oldest Hebrew text of the Bible that we had today was about 1,000 years ago, about 1,000 AD. They were called the Masoretic text, and that's what our Old Testaments were based on. But then with the finding of the Dead Sea Scrolls, this put a Hebrew text 1,000 years before that. And they dug these up and were saying, man, these are 1,000 years older than what we have. We'll see if there's any contradictions, see if there's any mistakes that were made. But no, there was a very, very high degree of accuracy between the Dead Sea Scrolls and the later Masoretic text, supporting the truthfulness of our Old Testament Bible that we use today. Very, very significant findings. We can trust the Bible that God preserved the history of His Word as it was being written down and copied and written down and copied. And Yes, you could make mistakes, but God had his hand in the process. And the Dead Sea Scrolls are a great archaeological find. They call it probably the greatest archaeological find in Israel in the 21st century. So it's very important. We went to the ancient city of Shiloh, where the children of Israel set up the tabernacle. They assembled together at Shiloh and set up the tabernacle of meeting. So here is Shiloh, olive press in Shiloh. This is the place where they believe they set up the tabernacle after Joshua and the people came into the land. They set up the tabernacle, they divided out the land to the tribes. The tribes went out, and the tribes were to come back here to Shiloh to worship at the tabernacle. And we went to Shechem, the city of the patriarchs. So here's where Abraham passed through the land to the place of Shechem, as far as the terebinth tree of Morer. And the Canaanites were there in the land. And the Lord appeared to Abram and said, "To your descendants I will give this land." And there he built an altar to the Lord who had appeared to him. So Shechem was the first place where Abraham went into the land. It's about right here in the middle, about the middle of the country. And so we can see the Old Testament site of Shechem. These are some ruins of the Old Testament site. We've got the modern city of what's called Nablus. And so we've got the Old Testament Shechem right down here, blown up here, and then the new modern city there today. And then this site, the Old Testament site, also crosses over into the New Testament. What was it in the New Testament? The New Testament, we read about a city called Sychar. What happened there? Jesus left Judea and departed again to Galilee, but he needed to go through Samaria. So he came to the city of Samaria, which is called Sychar, near the plot of ground that Jacob gave to his son Joseph, there near Shechem. Now Jacob's well was there. Jesus, therefore, being wearied from his journey, sat thus by the well. It was about the 6th hour. The woman of Samaria came to draw water. Jesus said to her, "Give me a drink." And you know the rest of the story, how Jesus met with the Samaritan woman at Jacob's well. So here's our picture again. We got Old Testament Shechem, we got the New Testament city of Sychar back here, then we got Jacob's well, which is in a church. Byzantine and medieval Christians, they found Jacob's well, built a church over it. So you go inside this church here, and inside the church is Jacob's well. The well that was where Jesus sat around and met the woman at the well. So today they, of course, built a church over it. They kind of built some new things around the opening of the well, but church tradition highly supports this as being the site where Jesus met the woman at the well. And you can draw up the bucket, and you have a rope, and you can put the rope bucket in. There's still water. We're still getting water out of that well to this day. It's a deep well, about 135 feet deep. Take that bucket of water, you dump it back in the well, and it takes a long time for that water to get back down to the bottom of that well. So really neat site. Old Testament, New Testament. Shechem, where Abraham was, Jacob, Isaac. And then all throughout history, this well had been there. They used the well in the Old Testament time, carried on into the New Testament time. The Samaritans are in the land by then, and they were using this well to draw water. Jesus has that whole exchange with the woman there at the well. And his disciples come back from the city. They see Jesus talking to the Samaritan woman, like, what are you doing? And such. And Jesus tells them, what does he tell them? He says, the fields are ripe unto harvest. So here's a wheat field in Samaria. Jesus says, look, you say 4 months more and then the harvest. I tell you, the harvest is ready. He's pointing at those Samaritans. You guys need to be ministering to these Samaritans, just like I've been ministering to the Samaritan woman. And so Jesus in Samaria. You have a question, Pastor Bill?
Is that the original well?
They believe so. They say that is one of, along with Hezekiah's tunnel and this well, they say are some of the more well-contested, accurate places of the Bible. My professor said, people were asking him, how do we know this is the real well? And he said, wells don't move. Wells are stationary. Wells are always used from generation to generation. Unless an army comes through and buries it, but people would often dig them back up. Everyone needs water, so everyone, generation after generation, is using this well. Yes?
Is the water still drinkable?
My professor said, don't drink the water. He said, you don't know what's in it, but people do. People still, people will just for, for, maybe ceremonial purposes, they'll bring up the water, they'll use it. The Orthodox Church will use it as holy water in their services and stuff like that, and people will drink it. Our professor says it may not be the cleanest water, and you don't know about that, but good question. All right, moving along. We went to King Herod's port city of Caesarea on the coast of the Mediterranean Sea. So here's a 2,000-year-old Roman amphitheater still being used today. Still got it set up for concerts and such, modern chairs, modern big screens and lights and the amps and monitors and the speakers and such. They've refinished the seats and such, and they still sell tickets and go watch a concert or something in a 2,000-year-old Roman amphitheater. But King Herod was the king during the birth of Jesus. And he was king of the nation around this land from just before Jesus was born and died shortly after he was born. He built this massive port city along the coast and had a palace there, had a hippodrome. The hippodrome was called a horse race. They raced chariots. The Romans would have their chariot races here, right there along the sea. And so this would have been a massive cosmopolitan city during Jesus' day, where all the different Roman people in the land and Gentiles would go watch something in the amphitheater, or go watch horse races in the amphitheater. It was a very modern city. You even got modern plumbing, got running water toilets. Now this doesn't look exactly like a toilet we would use today. Under here would be water. This is a channel where the water would flow through. And you would sit on one of these channels and you would sit on these rocks here and use the bathroom right there. Not very private, but it was an update for running water system there, 2,000 years old. So yeah, kind of interesting. King Herod built these giant aqueducts to bring water into the city, fresh water. Well, here it is on the coast, but it's on salt water. You can't drink salt water, so he had to channel in fresh water from Mount Carmel. So this is the Mount Carmel range up here. We brought fresh water about 15 miles. This aqueduct goes from Mount Carmel range to Caesarea there on the coast. So moving along, maybe I'll skip this one real quick. This was Samaria. This was another Roman city. So you got kind of some of the same stuff in the Roman city of Sebastian. And then you got Jesus in his hometown of Nazareth. And so after Herod had died, when King Herod had died, an angel told Joseph to come back out of Egypt. To rise, take the young child Jesus and his mother and go to the land of Israel. And he came and dwelt in a city called Nazareth, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken to the prophets. We shall be called the Nazarene. Jesus was born in Bethlehem, grew up in the city of Nazareth, but then Jesus was rejected from Nazareth. He came to Nazareth where he had been brought up, and Jesus, as his custom was, he went into a synagogue on the Sabbath day and stood up to read. They tell us that Jesus read from the scroll of Isaiah, preached to the Pharisees who were there, and they didn't like his preaching. He really called them out. So it says, skipping down a few verses, so all those who were in the synagogue, when they heard these things, were filled with wrath, and they rose up and thrust him out of the city, and led him to the brow of the hill on which their city was built, that they might throw him down over the cliff. And then passing through their midst, and then Jesus went on his way. And so here's Jesus, grew up in Nazareth, but they're rejected there at Nazareth. Here's the Nazareth precipice, they call it, the Nazareth precipice, the hill of the city where the hill was built. And just right down below us is it's probably over 100-foot rock right there at that edge. And so it's a traditional spot where they took Jesus to the brow of the hill to cast him off. And this whole valley here is called the Jezreel Valley. And I could just go on and tell you how many biblical cities and sites happened in the Jezreel Valley, how Gideon and his army defeated the Amalekites here in the Jezreel Valley, or how Barak and Deborah and Barak defeated the armies there also in the Jezreel Valley. How King Josiah was killed out here. And King Saul, just back here a little ways, is Mount Gilboa, where King Saul fought his last battle against the Philistines. And we've got the city of Nain here, where Jesus raised the widow of Nain's son. So right from this precipice where Jesus grew up, you can see just about half of Old Testament history just about. We've got this is the Mount Carmel range. So I could talk about Elijah, how Elijah faced the prophets of Baal on Mount Carmel, and you just go on and on. From here, Nazareth, looking over the Jezreel Valley here, all the different sites around. We've got Hatzor. Maybe I'll skip this. This was a city that Joshua attacked during the Canaanite period. Joshua burned the city with fire. So Joshua conquered the city of Hatzor when he conquered came into the land and conquered. And then we were at the Sea of Galilee, a very beautiful sea, very, very small. It's more of a lake. It's about 7 miles wide, 13 miles long, not very tall. So again, we went on a really neat boat ride on the Sea of Galilee. Took a boat out with our whole class and around the Sea of Galilee. Talked about different stories, how Jesus calmed the sea and the disciples were on a boat and a storm came up and he calmed the Sea of Galilee. And Jesus walking on the water and things like that. There's all kinds of, oh yes, this is what they call the Jesus boat. They found this boat at the bottom of the Sea of Galilee. A boat that dates back to the time of Jesus, typical fishing boat that would have been used. And so, kind of give you an idea about the size of the boat that the disciples would have been using for fishing. There's all kinds of cities around the Sea of Galilee. I'm not going to go into too much detail. You got Magdala, or Mary of Magdala, Capernaum, the synagogue where Jesus taught, Chorazin. This is me sitting in the synagogue at Chorazin. You got Bethsaida, where Peter was from, a fishing town. Peter and John were from Bethsaida. So lots of different cities around the Sea of Galilee we can talk about as well. And so just moving along, one last city here. You got a Roman city, Scythopolis, another Roman city. Romans have their fingerprints all over this land. When the Romans came through, they brought in all kinds of Roman architecture, Roman columns, Roman theater, Roman bathhouses, Roman hippodrome where they race horses and such. And so, yeah, push on. So just quickly here, and wrapping up as we close here, I want to just talk about some, so we looked at the sites, we're going to talk about a few of the plants of Israel, just kind of as we close up here. Deuteronomy talks about the land of Israel. It's a land of wheat and barley, the vines, figs, trees, pomegranates, land of olive oil and honey. And we got to see all of these. And so you got olive trees where they would get the olive oil, and they would put the olives, make the olives from the olive trees, put them in these baskets, and they would crush them in the olive press, and they'd go around pushing the stones, getting olive oil. You use olive oil for everything. Use it for anointing for priests, anointing for kings. Use it for cooking food, like we do today. Use it for burning lamps. And our lamp is still burning there. And they'd use it for medicine. They didn't have hand lotions or they didn't have hand creams, and so you live in a dry climate. It's hot. Your hands and arms start cracking. What do? You put olive oil on your arms, and so it's a balm. It's a modern hand lotion. So olive oil was everything in this culture. You've got mustard trees growing around Israel. Jesus had a few things to say about mustard trees, didn't he, and mustard seeds? He said, what did he say about a mustard seed? If you have a faith as a mustard seed, then what? What's the answer? Mountains. You have to move mountains. Have a faith the size of a mustard seed. These are little flowers. Inside you got an itty bitty little black mustard seed. And Jesus also said, the kingdom of heaven is like a mustard tree. That those smallest of seeds it grows into a tree that birds can nest in. This isn't the biggest mustard tree. They get a lot bigger than that. You got fig trees and nice big juicy figs. Those aren't ripe yet, but we got to eat some ripe figs and really tasty. Fig trees are mentioned in the Bible. Jesus curses a fig tree when he comes out of Jerusalem. You can read about that story. You've got date palms, these giant palm trees with nice sweet dates on them. You can make honey out of date honey. You can get honey from bees, or you can get honey from date palms. So when it says the land of Israel, the land flowing with milk and honey, the milk represents all of the livestock. You got goat's milk, you got cow's milk and stuff like that. So that symbolizes all the shepherding and such. And then honey, talk about the farmers. You can get honey from dates, you get honey from bees farms and such like that. Also palm trees. We read about palms when Jesus rode into Jerusalem on Palm Sunday. What did it say? When Jesus came in on his triumphal entry, people were picking these palm branches and waving them and laying them down. That would have come from these date palm trees and so forth. We got pomegranates, big juicy red pomegranates growing in Israel, also mentioned in the Bible. Grapevines for making grape juice, making wine as well, grapevines. Animals. We've got shepherds today, a lot of Bedouin shepherds are feeding their flocks all around. And you got sheep and goats. So this is, you can't really see them very well, but this is a mixed flock. And they would mix their sheep and goats. So there's some goats and there's some sheep. And so usually they just keep the goats and sheep together. Jesus used this as an illustration. He said, there's coming a day when God, the chief shepherd, he will separate the sheep from the goats. Matthew 24. Jesus uses this as an end-time illustration. Today there's kind of a mixed flock, sinners and saints. At the end, he's going to separate the sheep from the goats. And so it's just amazing to walk around and see these visual illustrations. Like, oh, that's what Jesus was talking about. That's what he was saying when he separate the sheep from the goat. These are one of my favorites, the rock badgers. These are cute little animals. They've got a lot of different names in the Bible. They're also called the rock hyrax, also called the coney. The Hebrew name is the shephanim. They're mentioned a few times in the Old Testament. They're cute little kind of groundhog type creatures. I don't know how else to kind of describe them. They're fuzzy little animals that roam around in the crags of the rocks. Mentioned in Proverbs, the rock badger. The rock badgers are a feeble folk, yet they make their homes in the crags of the rocks. So the Solomon, or whoever wrote that proverb, is looking at these little furry animals and say, they're wise in that they're making their homes in the rocks. And he talks about ants and talks about other animals as examples. You got rock badgers. You got wild hedgehogs. I like hedgehogs. Hedgehogs are some of my favorite little animals. So they run around wild in Israel. Find them at night. You've got the ibex, which is also known as the gazelle. Beautiful deer-like creature. So not exactly like our white-tailed deer, but kind of in the deer-gazelle family. And gazelles are mentioned in the Bible as well. You talk about gazelles on high places and mountains and such. They're beautiful animals. And so just a few more places. Also got to go into the country of Jordan. We got to go see the Nabatean capital of Petra. This is one of the most famous sites in the world. This is one of the 7 wonders of the world. Is the treasury of Petra, where the Nabateans had their capital. They were an Arabian tribe that were really dealt in spices, and particularly frankincense. Where do we read about frankincense? You got the 3 wise men. They brought gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh to Jesus. And it said that the wise men, they probably got their frankincense from the spice route going through Petra here. And a lot of these huge, giant temples and tombs and mausoleums and stuff in Petra. Really, really neat place. And then there's Mount Nebo. This is where Moses got to see the land for the last time. God led him up on Mount Nebo. You can see this is the Dead Sea off here, the land of Israel. He got to see the land of Israel for the last time. And then Moses died on Mount Nebo, and then God buried him there. And this is just before Joshua comes into the land. So we're kind of come full circle. Then Joshua crosses the Jordan and conquers Jericho. So I believe that was our last slide there. I know that was quite a bit of history, a lot to talk about there. And so as we're closing here, just kind of a couple of concluding thoughts. History really is God's story. His story of God's dealing in the world. And God uses history to show himself, show who he is, and to draw us to himself. And so all these different places we see just added a testimony to what God has done in the land of Israel. It's a testimony of God's faithfulness. So I thought it was a fitting hymn to close. We'll close here today singing hymn number 44, Great is Thy Faithfulness. And we think about how God is faithful throughout history. We can sing about it today. And then if you have any further questions, you can stick around or you're free to go. And I can show you some more things on the table there today.
Turning Lord Jesus. We've seen that here at this presentation today. Praise the Lord for the lineage that we have behind us so that we can see the hope that is set before us. And so, Lord Jesus, would you just please just continue to be faithful in our lives. And Lord, have our hearts just inclined to all the knowledge that we can grasp with you on this side of eternity. And so, Lord Jesus, we just ask that you help us now as we go out and come back here tonight, Lord Jesus. Lord, as we overcome the lies of the devil in our life, Lord Jesus, I pray and ask for your power and unction tonight. In Jesus' name, amen. Y'all are welcome to stick around and ask about some of these things. Check some of that
You're
stuff
welcome.
out.
Touch anything on the table except the fire.
Oh, they're in my car. I was about to bed, so I'll put them in the seat.
You want to blow it out?
I didn't take them to
I'll
bed
blow it
last
out.
night.
Go ahead.
I'm letting them. I didn't get up early enough.
Go hard. A little bit harder than a candle. There you go.